Craig Aaron is CEO and president of FreePress, and he's joining us live from Washington. Craig's going to be here in Northampton, Massachusetts on Friday, September 23rd, 6:30 p.m. at the Unitarian Society of Northampton. What are you going to be talking about, Craig?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the future of media and what you can do about it. Talking a little bit about the work we do at FreePress and the really important fights ahead for community media in particular, and why all of us, whether our interest is PEG channels or LPFM or PBS and NPR, need to get together if we're going to protect these vital public and community resources.
It's going to be great. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be there, but I'm told it's going to be great. And I'm sure after the fact, I'll hear the same thing, hopefully.
Well, I think they're recording it, so hopefully, others can experience it. But yeah, if people are in Northampton, really hope you'll stop by. I think there's going to be a nice little reception, a chance to talk, and always good to see folks, especially in the Valley. So I hope people will make it out.
Absolutely. Let's get into a couple of the issues that are going on now, including a potential investigation into the phone hacking scandal involving News Corporation and Rupert Murdoch. Does it look like we're going to get a bona fide American investigation into this? Is this coming across the pond?
Well, there's definitely a lot of pressure and push for that investigation. Along with our allies, we've already collected more than 200,000 petitions calling for that investigation. Just last week, a group of the leading Democrats on the Government Oversight Committee, issued a complaint basically with Darrell Issa saying, why are you holding up an investigation? His response was to go on Fox News and promise that he wasn't going to do an investigation. So unfortunately, this matter, like so many others, is getting tied down in some of the partisan wrangling in Washington. But I think as the plot continues to thicken, as you see James Murdoch being dragged back in front of Parliament again, as these investigations from the FBI and the Justice Department start to bear fruit, I think ultimately Congress is not going to have a choice but to investigate, because the evidence continues to pile up that News Corporation is just up to no good. And of course, not just with the phone hacking, but everything that the phone hacking scandal has exposed, including collusion between News Corp and, in England, the highest levels of government. But of course, those very same factors are very much present here. We may not have all of the phone hacking evidence. That has not emerged or been uncovered yet, but we definitely have the political collusion between the highest levels of government and the Rupert Murdoch empire.
What's incredible to me is that we're hearing a lot of kind of wrapping in between or comparisons being made between Wikileaks and the phone hacking scandal. And to me, it's so bizarre because the comparison that's being made is, well, both are things that were really bad. And therefore, it's weird that we're getting so much more coverage of Wikileaks. And I would say to myself, actually, it is strange that there's a disparity in coverage between Wikileaks and the phone hacking scandal, but WikiLeaks, no crimes beyond the in other words, the soldier who allegedly stole the documents and gave them to WikiLeaks, he is going to be tried for whatever crime he committed. But WikiLeaks as a journalistic organization has not appeared to have committed any crime, yet it's still being framed in the media as if Julian Assange is a terrible guy, and maybe we'll pay attention to Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah, well, it is interesting, and maybe the thread is, what those in power want you to know about. WikiLeaks and that whole network, of course, they've thrown the book at them, Interpol and everything else, because they don't want those secrets getting out. With Murdoch and the phone hacking scandal, you almost see the reverse, or maybe the inverse, which is that the same thing's going on. They don't want you paying attention to the fact that Rupert Murdoch and the leaders in England and the United States are far, far too close. So whatever they can do to hopefully sweep that under the rug seems to be what a lot of people are doing. Fortunately, places like The Guardian, even the New York Times have stayed on these stories. But, of course, the Murdoch empire itself is very happy to, try to get people to pay more attention to Julian Assange. And basically, when it comes to their own scandals, say, well, it's time to move on.
Absolutely. And, I see different petitions floating around about let's get an actual investigation into the phone hacking scandal here in the U.S. And I look at it and it's a good cause. I'm glad people are sending something around. But that nobody who actually is going to really push an investigation cares about petitions somebody's sending around on Facebook, do they? I mean, I wish I could feel like they did.
I actually would disagree a little bit. I think that the petitions do matter. The letters do matter. I can't tell you how many times some congressional staffer has called me up saying, oh, these petitions you're sending don't really matter. And I'm like, well, before we sent them, you never called me. So I think it does matter. Now, is it the only thing we should do? Is it the only responsibility to just click and send a petition? No. We have to raise the attention. We have to, get out the word through whatever channels we have, independent media and otherwise, about what's actually going on in these scandals. But I do think people shouldn't be discouraged from signing those petitions, because when you sign enough of them and when there's enough noise, politicians do start paying attention, because ultimately they know that they're going to need public support to stay in office. So we do need to make some noise so that this is a scandal that can't just be pushed away. We've seen, obviously, in England, some of the most egregious examples, but there are a lot of things that are going to be happening here in the States, including an attempt later this year for companies like News Corp to further gut our media ownership limits. And we need this phone hacking scandal to be front and center before we hand even more power over to the likes of Rupert Murdoch.
Hey, I agree. I guess it's hard for me to be as optimistic about the petitions that I get in my inbox. But that being said, I want to remind our audience, Craig Aaron, CEO and president of Free Press, is going to be in Northampton, Massachusetts, Friday, September 23rd, 6:30 p.m., the Unitarian Society of Northampton. It will be all about how to save the future of independent media. So hopefully it won't be a short presentation.
No, it won't be too short, but not too long either. Just right, I hope.
All right. Thanks so much, Craig, for doing this, especially last minute.
Oh, no problem, David. Thanks for having me on.